Hello, this is Minter Chen. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do the query number 2 and number 3 for the database assignment. And so let's look at the requirement for query number 2 and 3. And query number 2 asks you to create a query to show how many customers located in France. And you should only return just a number representing how many customers are from France. And you also need to come up with a kind of custom heading um, indicating that the number you're displaying is for the total number of customers in France. Okay, so let me switch to a folder where I have the Northwind database. I'm opening it up. If it's the first time you open it up, you may be seeing this enable content security warning. You should enable it. Now, let's go to the query. Okay, I drop this down and choose query. And let's work on query number 2. And by the way, the query number 1 has been explained how you should do it and in the introduction to this assignment video earlier. Double click on it and you're getting a dummy query for the query 2, and you need to switch to the design mode, and I will hit the delete key to delete the dummy heading. And this is actually an empty query. So the first thing you need to do is to decide what table you would like to query against. In this case, it's about customers. So I'm choosing customer and say add. I'm going to close it. So let's kind of get something up and running first. For instance, we want to, let's just get customer's name and then the country the customer is from. In this case, we know that we want customer from France, so we can just say equal, single quote, France. This is where we put the criteria. We put France for country. We're going to display the country just for now. So if we run it, we're showing actually all the customers. They're all from France. And if you actually look at down here, we actually have 11 customer. But if you give me just this, it's not going to work. The requirement for this query require you to show just the customer count. So let's modify a little bit. First of all, let me expand this and let me do some minor adjustment. I don't have to show the criteria, which is country equal to France. So if we run it, we're actually seeing a list of customer name. They're from France. That is okay. And we need actually to count how many customers from France instead of showing its company name or customer's ID. This is where you need to use the so-called aggregate function. There are tutorial on the use of aggregation function. So here I'm going to show you the simplest one. You need to click on total, which give you this total row right here. by default, the system will show you group by for all the existing column. And a lot of time you need to change this group by to something else. Let me show you one more time. Watch the group by disappearing, okay? Which means that the total row, which is very misleading, the total row is really for you to use when you really need to use so-called aggregated function for aggregation. And in this case, we still need the country to specify it's only from France, but in this case, it's used as a criteria, which is where. Let me drop it down. So you're seeing actually a bunch of aggregate function like sum, average, minimum, maximum, count, standard deviation, or even variation, first, last, etc. And two others sometimes we will use is one is where. That's what I'm choosing for country now. That means that this column is used just for criteria. And also expression, which means that if your column name is a calculated field, a formula, then you need to choose expression. So for this particular query, where is appropriate? Let's look at the company name. In this case, we don't need group by. We need to choose count, which is counting how many records in the returned query. So once we have this, if we run it, we're pretty good. We're actually seeing 11. However, the column heading just say count of company name. To make it appropriate for this particular query, we should give it a custom heading, and it's called alias, technically in SQL. So just put your cursor right in front of this field name and type pretty much anything you want. In our case, we're going to say number of customers from France. And remember to hit colon to separate this alias from the field name, if any, in this case, company name. So now let's run it or view it. Now we're actually say number of customer from France is 11. Okay, that's what we want. So we can save it. To save this query, and we can close this. To double check, if you double click this again, you're getting 11, number of customer from France is 11. So that is the correct answer. I'm going to show you how to do query number 3. Okay, and at least partially. Query number 3 is kind of a little bit challenged because it actually consists of two related query. Okay, and this is the first one called query 03 unique title. The second one is called query 03 unique title count. So once again, we're using record count. So let's deal with this one first. But let's review the requirement. The requirement for query 3 is how many unique title do we have in the employees table. Okay, so first of all, you know the data come from the employees table, and the important thing is that we're asking for unique title. Okay, and there are hints which I'll let you read it. And for this, it's a very long hint which is going to help you out. But let me do this here in Access. I'm going to switch to the design mode. I'm going to delete the dummy query heading. And remember, we want to find out how many unique titles. So the first thing is to figure out where are the title for employee, which is really in the employees table. And we only need this table, so I'm done here. If I select title, double click or drag and drop, if I can also drag the title and drop it over here. If you run it, you're going to get 9 title, and as you can see, there are some duplicated titles, such as sales rep show up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, we don't need this duplication because the system, the question asks you for only unique title. So how can we get rid of the duplication? This you have to actually switch to, drop this down, switch to SQL view. In SQL view, leave a space character, and you have to type a reserved word which is called distinct. Okay, leave a space between distinct and employee's title. Now if we run it again, we're seeing only 4 unique title. So this is what we want. Okay, and once again, in order to have this unique set of titles value return, you have to actually go to the SQL mode and type the distinct keyword to force the query to return only unique employee title back to you. So we're done. We can save this. I can close this now. Now let's deal with the second query for query 2, okay, which is unique title count. Double click, maximize it, go to the design mode, delete the dummy heading. Now I need to find out how should I pursue this query, which will return the count of the unique title. Okay. In Access, I cannot use the aggregate function count with the keyword distinct in my SQL. So I have to actually do this 2-step process. This is the second step. And in the second step, I'm not using actually any of the table, but if you notice here in show table, it's really show table or query. What I need to use is the query we just did, which is the unique title, query 3 for unique title. Okay, this is a query. And in my lecture, I mentioned a few times that you can query not just a table or tables. You can also query a query or queries. And this is the case that we're querying a query. So we're choosing this unique title query. I add it. I can just do this to query the title, run it. So this looks like the previous query 3 unique title query. And that's a starting point, but this is not the right answer. What we need to do is actually have the system to return a record count. And we just mentioned how to do an aggregate function count, which is come to this total. And if you choose count instead of group by, you counting how many unique title in your employees table. Okay, you can also try to customize the heading. For instance, you can just say unique number of unique title colon. Okay, so you get a unique column heading. Run it. That looks like the right answer. So basically, we have 4 unique title. Okay, this concludes my lectures on the database assignments query 2 and 3.